By the time this video goes live, I am either really close to or past 9,000 subscribers, which first of all happened way quicker than I anticipated. But in the event that I am past 9K, thank you. You guys are all incredible. Hey everyone, this is Syntax, and today we're going to be taking a look at the latest update for Fortnite Creative, version 21.50. There's a lot of really great things that they added in this update, and there's also a lot of very angry creators, because Epic, they messed up again, go figure. Of course, it's important to remember that game developers are also human. They can mess up, they do mess up, but there's a lot of people that aren't very happy, and I'll explain why. But before I do that, I want to show you guys everything that this update has to offer in case you've missed anything or something like that, and believe me, it's a lot of really good stuff. So let's take a look. Now, immediately, the first thing you might notice when you load into a new session is that you now have this server lifetime notification. And that's because Epic got rid of storms. There is no longer a storm that is going to be pressing your creative session. It is just simply going to end. I believe a notification pops up every hour or so it'll tell you when there's 3 hours left, 2 hours left, an hour left, 30 minutes, stuff like that. And then once it hits 0, it just kicks everybody out. So it's super convenient. I'm not sure if the bug that jumps the timer forward is still a thing, because I know that was associated with the storm. So if removing the storm got rid of that, then that's a great start right off the bat. Anyway, the first thing you might notice right away is when you load into your island and you go to the settings, you actually now have room for 60 players on your island. You can have 60 total players. That's insane. And of course, with that, we now also have 60 teams. So 60 max players, 60 teams. All we need now is more classes and we'll be pretty much set. Also, I'm not sure if it was explicitly stated, but I think if you have your stamina on infinite now, that jumping doesn't take away from it. Sliding still does, but I think jumping doesn't cost any sprinting energy, which is pretty nice. Anyway, the next big thing in this update involves a bunch of new settings that they added to the phone, which are all absolutely incredible. First and foremost, we now have a flight speed of 0.1, and for any of you wondering what this looks like, I mean, just look at it. It's so slow. Now, I know for some of you this might seem arbitrary, but in situations where you have to make very minute changes, very small changes vertically, especially vertically, you can now just barely tap and you'll fly upward just a little bit, just a tiny bit. And of course, on the other end of the spectrum, we now also have a 10 times flight speed. On the phone settings, it says up to 30, but those don't actually do anything yet. Now, I want you to forget about the flight speed and take a look at this option right here. We have editor camera set to external, and when we set this to immersive, we now build in first person. This setting is only effective, of course, when you have your phone out, but now, especially for sculptors, you no longer have to place a barrier surrounding what you want to build. You simply put on this immersive editor camera and you're building in first person. When you combine this immersive setting with 0.1 flight speed, it allows for you to have so much more control over what you are trying to adjust. The tiny things that just need very little adjustments, you can now do with so much more ease. And of course, like I said, you no longer have to place a barrier to build in first person. Now it's just a camera option, and when I'm done, I simply click it off and bada boom, bada bing, bada bang. I mean, this seriously is one of the best things that they've ever added to the game. Now we just need an option to have it when we actually start the game and give us, you know, real first person. Anyway, that's pretty much everything with the phone. Now I want to move on to some of the galleries that they added because they are incredible. If you tab over to Prefabs and select recently added, we now have a bunch of stuff from the Imposters game mode. We have the weapons lab, we have the factory, so on and so forth, and we also have the Colossal Crops stables. Now, honestly, I forgot this place existed, I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, despite me forgetting they existed, after sifting through some of the prefabs, I discovered that there are a lot of really good new props. It's the same thing with the galleries. Tab over, select recently added, and we have a bunch of new stuff. Now, I want to talk about these 3 galleries in particular right here. I mean, obviously, the building galleries are all good. You can take a look at these for yourself, but like these 3? Oh, it's unmatched. Now, this is the Primal prop gallery. There are a ton of good pieces in this, but I want to draw your attention over to these pieces and piles of rubble right here. When you consider the addition of this style of rubble combined with the castle stuff that we got not too long ago, the people that are building custom things are having an absolute heyday. The past few updates we've gotten have been some of the best updates for just building custom things in general, and this is nothing short of that. There's also some other props that might be available in other galleries, I'm not sure, but these are all really, really cool. I mean, look at this Peely. I didn't even know this was in the game. Now, we also got these 2 new foliage galleries. Now, at first glance, it kind of looks like any other foliage gallery. Just a bit of trees, some grass, and a couple of vines, right? Well, if for some reason you weren't already aware, you can actually customize the color of these things. Like, look, if I want to have pink leaves, I now have pink leaves. And these things don't actually cost a whole lot of memory. I think they're exactly how the vines are. Maybe a little bit more on the initial placement, but like you can change the color to literally whatever you want it to be. Like, and it looks good. It looks really good. I mean, if you want to make it look like the vines were burned from some fire, you can change them to black, and now it looks like they're scorched. And for the trees, you actually have the ability to change the leaf color and the trunk color to literally whatever you want it to be. So depending on the aesthetics of your map, you can cater these plant pieces extremely well to whatever it is. Like, look at that. Now I have a winter tree, and all I did was change 2 colors. Like, it's perfect. It's perfect. And of course, it's the same with the grass pieces over here. You can change it to whatever you want it to be. For the pieces that have this sort of ground texture, you can change this, but for just the grass pieces, it's only the grass, which, I mean, that makes sense, right? Not to mention, this grass actually looks a lot better than the other grass does. It has like flowers and different textures to it. It's just, these are 2 fantastic additions to the game. As far as creating environments goes, you're going to be able to have a lot more control than you previously did. So hopefully that's something everyone is looking forward to. Now, we don't have any rocks we can change the color of, and we don't have any water. So hopefully that's something added in the future. But for now, this is more than enough. It's perfection. Of course, in typical update fashion, Epic fixed a few bugs here and there. They added a few bugs, but the thing that everybody was super hyped for, super excited for, was the melee designer. If you tab over to devices, it's the first thing you see there. And you know what? Now that I'm looking at this, there's like a pattern with all of the recently added devices. They're all like blue and white. It's kind of stale. But anyway, we now have the melee designer, which is meant to produce a custom version of the new weapons we have, which include the basic hammer and the basic sword. Now, when you are running around with these things, they provide a slightly different point of view, and both of them have 4 different attacks as well as the ability to dodge when you have them out. The basic attack can be achieved by just simply tapping your attack button. If you sprint forward and attack, it then does the second attack. Jumping and attacking gives you the third attack, and if you hold it, you can charge it up and you have your 4th attack. And with the hammer, it's the same thing. You have a bunch of different attacks that you can do depending on whether or not you are sprinting, jumping, charging, or just doing a basic attack. And all of them are absolutely incredible. Now, these are the most basic versions of the melee weapons. What the melee designer does is allows for you to customize pretty much everything about it. Also, just as a side note, there are so many settings on this thing that I think I'm going to dedicate an entire video. So I'm not going to go over everything. I'm just going to show you something that I made, and then in my next video or some video after that, I'm going to explain everything you need to know about this device. Anyway, upon initially spawning this thing, you have the option to create either a sword or a hammer, and depending on what you click on, you then get a bunch of options presented to you catered to whatever you selected. Now, in my case, when I first placed this down, I wanted to do a sword. So I clicked on sword, I named it Sub to Syntax, which is just a classic shameless self-plug. But then you'll notice that you have a whole bunch of different options. You can customize what rarity you want. You can customize the amount of energy it uses for each attack, what kind of multiplier you want to have on it. You can customize the damage values for the environment, the players, the AI. You can choose whether or not you want it to lock on, so you can have this option be no lock on and it won't actually attach to players. You can decide if you want this weapon to make the player run slower when they're holding it, and you can decide how long you want it to take for them to charge up their attack, or what their charge attack even does. There's a bunch of different options for the different weapons. Okay, I shouldn't say a bunch of different options. There's like 3, but there are different options. You can choose the damages for each of these attacks, how long it takes to recover from each of these attacks, and of course the damage multipliers for each of these attacks. There are so many different settings, and this is just a sword that I made. Once you've gone through the entire thing, you can just click spawn weapon and it will drop whatever weapon you created. As you can see, this is the Sub to Syntax sword. This is what it looks like. It's just got a purple glow to it, and I have all of these, you know, attacks that I can do with it. Now, depending on the style of map you want to make, you can make it so that certain attacks do less damage with this weapon, or you can upgrade the weapon, have it do more damage for certain attacks, or you can make, you know, a charge attack take really long to charge, or have a really short charge attack. You guys don't understand how much customizability there is. And another fun thing, since this thing messes with your perspective, if you are on 10 flight speed and you have the sword out, you kind of just like fly away from the camera and like, oh, like, where did I go? Where am I? You can't see me. And if you swing when you're like this, it actually brings you right back, which is, I mean, how can you not enjoy this update? It's just like, what is this game, bro? Wait, I want to try something. What the? Wait, can I do this midair too? Oh my god, I can! Whee! Listen, like I said, there's way too many settings to cover in this video, but just know that this is probably one of the best things they've ever added in terms of weapons, and we've been waiting a long time, so I'm glad that it's finally here. I'm trying to remember if I missed anything. I think I've covered it all. Oh yeah, I forgot about the reason that everybody's mad. So, in typical Epic Games fashion, they changed the way memory works. And let me explain to you exactly what I mean. According to their own words on the patch notes, the XL Islands use a grid-based memory thermometer, meaning whatever is placed in one grid square only contributes to the memory budget of that grid square it influences. This feature is now active on all islands. This will make it easier for you to balance your islands and make the most of your memory budget. Now, that's what they thought would happen. And the opposite happened. Okay, I guess I don't mean the opposite happened, but it basically made it so that the memory within one square that you built is now affecting the overall memory more than it was before. As you can see, I'm in Backrooms Combat, and it is now over 100k, and it was at 96k before the update. Now, if before the update you had a map that was super spread out with not a lot of density in these individual squares, then your memory might have went down. But for the majority of creators, some of them went up to like 135k, 140k memory. Like, I'm not even kidding. And of course, when you have creators that have spent months and months and months working on the same project, loading up the game and finding out that they can't even load in their island because it's so over budget, people aren't going to be the happiest. And on top of that, I don't know if you guys were aware, but there was a bug that actually brought the memory down if you placed certain devices. Like, devices had negative memory. So people were sitting in their map and, you know, they're sitting at 95k, but really they have 15k in devices that they thought were bringing the memory down. And then when they fixed that bug, now they're at 110k overall. So yeah, it might be an accident, it might be a bug, but people are not happy, to say the least. However, despite the memory issue, this update was really solid. We've all wanted 0.1 flight speed for so long. We've all wanted the ability to build in first person without any hassle for so long. And of course, we were all waiting for that melee designer. Overall, I think this was a fantastic update for creative. Of course, I hate the fact that they break the game with every update, but I mean, I guess you gotta take the good with the bad. So, I mean, here we are again. But anyway, that's everything I have for you guys today. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. And yeah. This has been Syntax. Later.